Hello everyone, I am Ashish Sharkar from India and it's an absolute pleasure to get an opportunity to present at this 11th International Conference on the Constructed Environment. My thanks to the conference committee and also all of you for being here. I am a PhD scholar from the Indian Institute of Technology Roorkee and I am an architect urban planner working on the interdisciplinary field of urban planning, design and mental well-being. This work is part of my ongoing PhD research and this title is Mental Well-being in Urban Environments, Current Scenarios and Future Directions. The main focus of this presentation will be on various urban environment indicators and how they are affecting our mental well-being. Finally, to develop a conceptual framework for the local governments and communities to assess the urban environment and determine how these indicators might affect the mental well-being. To begin with, I would like to take all of you through the structure of my presentation. In the first part, we will be discussing about the background and the research question. In the second part, we will be talking about urban environment, mental well-being and their relationship. Then we'll talk about the research gap and finally we'll come up with a conceptual framework. In the third part, we'll be discussing about the future directions and how we are going to tackle this scenario in the coming years. If you look at the background in 2011, the United Nations General Assembly adopted this resolution happiness towards a holistic definition of development, and in 2012 this resolution was followed by a United Nations high-level meeting called Well-being and Happiness, defining a new economic paradigm. Happiness and well-being came into life following a tremendous increase in the numbers of mental health related problems worldwide. Later, mental health was included in Goal 3 as Health and Well-being in Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations in the year 2015. Also, the King of Bhutan coined the term gross national happiness instead of gross domestic product as the main development indicator. Several happiness indices are consequently being developed by the experts across the world after this, and ensuring happiness in the lives of the common people is increasingly becoming an important priority for civic authorities. So the question is why United Nations is focusing on well-being and happiness and why there is a need to measure the happiness of the people. If we look at the current global scenario, a study of 2017 states that about 792 million people live with a mental health disorder, and which is slightly more than 1 in 10 people globally. About 1 in 5 of the world's children and adolescents are having mental disorder. Depression, which is a type of mental illness, is one of the leading causes of disability affecting about 264 million people globally. It also states that there is an economic loss about 1 trillion US dollar per year in productivity due to depression and anxiety. People with severe mental conditions die about 10 to 20 years earlier than the general population. And about in low and middle income countries, between 76% and 85% of the people with mental health condition receive no treatment. And globally, there is less than one mental health professional for every 10,000 people. Seeing the global scenario, we can conclude that this is a high time we need to adopt efficient solution to tackle mental health related problems. There are several factors which are leading cause to the rise of the mental illness and other related problems. Urbanization is one of the major causes which are affecting the mental health of the people. Both the physical environment and the social environment affects one's subjective well-being in many ways. So here there is a scope for urban planners and designers to improve the quality of the physical built environment and the social environment to enhance the mental well-being of the people. And the first primary question is which indicators of the urban environment mostly affect the mental well-being and what is the impact of urban environment indicators on the mental well-being. At first we need to know the relationship between the urban environments and the mental well-being. Urban environment has been broadly categorized as the physical environment and the social environment for this research. The physical environment can be considered as housing form, roads, footpaths, transport networks, shops, markets, parks and other public amenities, and the disposition of the public space. For the research, the main domains and indicators of the physical environment are categorized under urban design, spatial configuration, density, infrastructure, green spaces, housing, land use, transportation, and outdoor environment quality. Coming to the social environment is the measure of social interaction interaction with the neighbors, social networks, socializing in the neighborhood. A sense of community means feelings towards the neighborhood, participation in organized activities means active participation, trust and reciprocity like mutual trust and among neighbors, feeling of safety like perception of safety and crime, the sense of place attachment, and like the feelings of attachment to the neighborhood. And the main indicators for assessing the social environment are categorized under safety, quality of life, happiness, social connectedness, life satisfaction, sense of trust and belonging, and sense of place attachment. So mostly the physical environment consists of the objective measures, and the social environment consists of the subjective measures which has a direct or indirect impact on the mental well-being. Now coming to the definition of the mental well-being, according to the World Health Organization, mental health is defined as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential and can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to her or his community. So this can be further detailed out, or which can be measured through one's orientations like seeking pleasure, pursuing personal growth, and behaviors like attending parties, writing down goals, and like experiences like positive effect, feeling or meaning, and functioning like prioritizing happiness, being skilled at savoring, being good at self-regulation, and achieving maturity. The mental well-being can be assessed in two different ways: by measuring the hedonic well-being, which is the most primitive and the short term, resulting from the attainment of pleasure and avoidance of pain, and the eudaimonic well-being, which is due to the long-term and enduring effects. The eudaimonic well-being can be categorized under two categories: the social well-being and the psychological well-being. Lots of research shows that the urban environments have both the positive and negative effect in overall. Few indicators helps in enhancing the subjective well-being, and few indicators might be the reason for one's poor well-being. And thus it shows the relationship between the urban environments and mental well-being. A lot of literature also concluded that the quality and design of the built environment influences the social cohesion, and high quality built environment have positive social benefits of the residents. And systematic reviews of association between the physical environment and mental well-being have been concluded, and there are modest cross-sectional association between the elements of the physical environment and psychological health. Let's take an example to understand the relationship between the urban environment indicators and the mental well-being. Here we have taken an example of a park as an indicator of green spaces and how it's affecting different aspects of the well-being. The person feeling depressed and takes a break to go out for a walk in the local park. He immediately feels relaxed, which is having a positive effect on the hedonic well-being. Then he decides to visit the park regularly, and he thinks it's good to spend some good time with the nature. This is a long-term enduring effect and on the psychological well-being. Later, he meets his friend Rex in the park, and they decided to visit again together. This has a positive impact on the social well-being. So, this we can conclude this person is maintaining his good mental well-being by maintaining all the relationship, all the aspects of the well-being, like the hedonic well-being, the psychological well-being, and the social well-being. Similarly, all the urban environment domains and the sub-indicators are affecting to the mental well-being. Either they have a positive impact or a negative impact. Our role is to improve the quality of the built environment so that the effect remains positive and can enhance the well-being of the people. Also, the quality of the design or the planning builds a certain level of perceptions in people's mind. As studies has suggested that indicators measuring the features of quality of the built environment such as the density, mixed land use, attractiveness, connectedness, legibility, accessibility, inclusiveness, maintenance, extent of natural surveillance, and neighborhood character highly influences the social cohesion of the characteristics such as the social interaction, social network, sense of community, participation in organized activities, trust and reciprocity, feelings of safety and sense of place attachment. Here we sum up everything to understand the relationship between the urban environments and the mental well-being. So urban environment has been categorized under physical environment and social environment. The physical mental well-being can be divided into three parts: the hedonic well-being, the psychological well-being, and the social well-being. So the physical environment has a direct impact on the social environment, and also the physical environment has an impact on the hedonic well-being, psychological well-being, and the social well-being. And the social environment has also impact on the hedonic well-being and the psychological well-being and the social well-being. And also all these aspects of well-being are correlated to each other, and they had a direct impact on each other. Now coming to the details of the urban environment indicators, which consist of both the physical environment and the social environment, and which is having an impact on the psychological well-being, the social well-being, and the hedonic well-being. So we can understand the relationship conceptually, like we ourselves can tell which indicators are affecting our well-being. Like for example, it's very common phenomenon with all of us to spend some time with the nature or green spaces whenever we are feeling low. In simple terms, is to relax. To know the cause and effect, several researchers have done studies to understand the relationship between the urban environment indicators and mental well-being aspects scientifically. Now let's look at the various studies and take out the summary from this. Like the systematic reviews of the association between the physical environment and mental well-being have concluded that there are modest cross-sectional association between the elements of the physical environment and psychological health. Like exposure to the natural environment is known to have various psychological and health benefits, and the restorative effects may be obtained through visual contact with the nature and activity in natural green areas. Like similarly, it has also been found that who worked in natural setting exhibited an increased positive effect or decreased anger and higher attention to performance compared with those who worked up in a built-up environment. Both the number of parks and near to homes and the total spatial area of accessible parks matters. Like another review also suggested that perception of natural elements, urban public gathering spaces, historic and cultural and recreational open spaces have a direct positive restorative effect on the individual well-being. Another studies like shows cities with residents said adequate access to libraries and culture and leisure facilities also reported high levels of subjective well-being and result in a positive correlation between the perception of convenient access to transit stops and subjective well-being at the city levels. Research also suggests that good accessibility to public transport as well as a dense urban structure could contribute to a reduced risk of depression, especially for women and elderly, by increasing the numbers or opportunities to move around and have an active social life. Nuisances such as air pollution was found to be related to lower levels of happiness, and noise and annoyance showed relationship to peaks and the type of noise. A lot of literature also studies concluded that the quality and the design of the built environment influences social cohesion, and the quality of the built environment have positive social benefits for the residents. Findings suggested that neighborhood environments supporting outdoor activities are conducive to better quality of life. Immediate environment and context and the quality of the neighborhood design plays an important role in maintaining the psychological and the social well-being. The physical environment of the dwelling units and the outdoor recreation spaces immediately surrounding them is also important to children's cognitive, physical, and social development, because where children live has an impact on their early development and well-being. Another study at neighborhood level shows that availability of benches along the street are positively enhanced to older adults' mobility, social cohesion, and social capital. Like transportation choices and options are offering a sense of mobility led to an increase in social cohesion. And in regards to the land use, one study found that low mixed use neighborhoods increased residents' sense of community. Another study in China shows that the presence of communal space within the neighborhood increased the community participation. Study also infers that high prevalence of trees in neighborhood perceived to be safe led to an increase in social cohesion. Social participation and integration in the immediate social environment are important to both the mental and the physical health. Here the slide shows the impact or the effect of the urban environment indicators of the well-being as various studies have been done on the association between them. The green line shows the positive effect and the red line shows the negative effect and the grey line shows the contradictory results. After going through the exhaustive literature reviews and discussion with experts, the following sub-indicators have been identified which could have a potential impact on the well-being. Other researchers can take these indicators to understand the correlation with mental well-being deeply. The following table shows an overview of different healthy built environment assess tools collected from various literature reviews. The table highlights the indicators and domains these tools have focused. It also summarizes how these tools are implemented and show how these tools are unique to each other. It can be concluded that some tools focused on various development plans, changing policies and guidelines, and few on design interventions. Few tools are concentrated on large scale interventions and few at community scale or neighborhood scale. These tools are either based on direct observation or based on self-administered questionnaires. So coming to the research lab, globally there are separate built environment assessment tools and tools to assess the mental health. Still, there are no tools or framework to measure the impact of urban environments on the mental well-being. Due to the difference in the physical and the social environment, the existing assessment tools cannot be validated, or neither these tools will give accurate results. Finally, we have developed a conceptual framework which will guide us to measure the impact of urban environments on the mental well-being. Both the objective measures and the subjective measures should be considered, and the weighted system will vary with the context to context, and the systematic observation and self-administered questionnaire will help us to guide the accurate to help us to guide accurate results. So to tackle this situation in the coming years, we need to develop a framework like urban environment and mental well-being framework that can help identifying the states and gaps in the community's built environment. It could be useful to engage the community and gather public input during the planning and decision making processes. It could help to collaborate with the regional health authority or the nation's health authority to prioritize actions and discuss potential and mental well-being concerns connected to the built environment. The urban environment and mental well-being framework can also be used to evaluate existing and new infrastructure plans or policies. Also, by continuous evaluation, it can help influence revisions in existing plans and policies to further enhance the urban environments. So, coming to the conclusion, like more interdisciplinary researches are expected to come in future to give a holistic understanding of the interaction and relationship between urban environment and mental well-being. Urban studies related to human behavior and its relation to surrounding environment needs to be addressed, and interdisciplinary researches to humanities, social sciences, and psychology, urban design should be encouraged to get some concrete results. Local governments need to focus on local area planning or micro level interventions to come up with new ideas and to understand the nature of what impacts more on the well being of the people. Mental health related data at the local level with a large sample size should be collected to understand the spatial linkage and urban design perspective to it. And also, the planners and urban designers need to rethink about the people's well being in terms of subjective well being and emotional well being and psychological well being, than mere satisfaction of governments, urban services, and facilities. We need to think more about providing comfort and to focus on people's subjective well being to enhance the overall quality of life.